for everybody, because we do have these variations, and those variations allow us to have the social fabric that's necessary. You can't, this is actually where, I mean, to bring it full circle back to the online stuff, the online world is a giant savanna. It is just one huge plain, right? There's no hierarchy in the online world. And not only that, there are no pockets in the online world on Twitter. It's just one huge plain. That doesn't generate any feeling of community. What generates a feeling of community is people who you actually have social ties with. And those social ties are necessary. Social fabric cannot exist for 6 billion or 7 billion human beings. Social fabric exists in your community, right? And as large as that community can grow. And there are limits to the growth of that community. And maybe this is what both Christianity and Judaism have in common when it talks about the Messianic era, is there will be a time when that social fabric can, in fact, encompass everybody. But that's not something that happens naturally.
Well, and it might also still be that it's still full of particularities.
Exactly.
Right? It's just that the particularities have to be properly
within a context,
organized. Yes.
Within a context, right? We like the EU in the sense that they have a certain set of social values, and as those social values disappear, we like the EU less. But those social values have to be in common, right? So we all have to have those in common.
Yes.
But the French don't want to be English, the English don't want to be French, and that's perfectly okay. They don't have to be French.
Well, it's kind of nice that there are French and English. Like that's part of the upside of diversity, let's say, is that there is some genuine diversity, and that localism preserves that diversity.
And this is what's so funny about the left, right? The left will say that diversity is our greatest benefit, and then they immediately try to wash away everything that is diverse about how people behave, except for basic, unmutable, biological,
right? It's amazing. It's so funny.
Well, then at the same time, they'll also say, well, we should be more like countries like Sweden and Norway and Finland and blah, blah, blah.
Some of the most homogenous countries on planet Earth, right? I mean, like...
Yeah, and by the way, there were plenty of people there who were very worried about the directions that their countries are going.
Well, Sweden
and
and Norway
we've got all
both...
these lefties in America saying, oh, it's so great over there, and the amount of people that we met there that are completely... afraid of saying anything.
Well, Sweden, Norway, and Denmark are immigration restrictionist countries. It's so funny. The left will talk about the wonders of these
Sweden
countries.
is now.
Right, but because of the backlash, right? Because of the backlash to massive Islamic immigration into Sweden and the fracturing of society in areas like Malmo. Right? This is why all the Jews are leaving Sweden, and Sweden has elected a center-right government specifically on the immigration issue. So, yeah, I mean, to ignore, for me, individually and collectively, the biggest source of unhappiness for people is pretending that reality isn't reality. When people fight reality, they lose. And recognizing that reality is necessary, whether you're a nation like Sweden or whether you are an individual who's struggling with certain realities. Like, people's unhappiness springs from thinking that reality is mutable, but they are immutable. Mostly, you're immutable and reality is not mutable.
Yeah. All right, I got one more for you guys because we only got about 10 minutes. So let's go deep and personal with the theme that we've run with here. I want to know a little bit about the adventure you're both on. I've been on this adventure with you at least for the last couple of months. But I've asked you this before a couple of times, and you always give me a slightly different answer. Where does it come from within you that you can do this? And that's what I want to ask you too. Like, where does it come from that sure, you can know all these things, you can say all these things, you can read about all these things, but that you, Jordan Peterson, can get out there every day, put your ass on the line, take all the hate, keep going. What is it about you?
Well, the first thing that we should point out is that, I have the same experience that Ben has in public. It's like I've had one negative interaction in public, and it was minor, and it was in Dublin with a woman who was really drunk. so we're going to not count that.
Yeah, exactly.
And it wasn't even that bad, but I've had thousands of personal interactions with people, and they're all unbelievably positive. They're not just positive, like people approach me and they're very polite and they're often apologetic because they think they're interrupting me. And then we have a brief personal conversation and they talk about how, well, they've been reading or listening or whatever, and that their lives are straightening out and that's really good, and that they've recommended the book, and so I'm very happy about that. But it's just 100% positive. And it's an amazing and uplifting thing to be able to go all over the world. Like, I was in Slovenia a week ago. I think the effect of YouTube, by the way, I think the effect of YouTube and podcasts is even bigger in places where the media isn't as reliable or well developed as it is in the West. It's hard to say how huge an effect it has, but it's unbelievably big. And so people were stopping me all over. And it's a remarkable thing to go into a new city and have complete strangers approach you in the most positive possible way, and then to tell you something private about their lives, and then to share with you some triumph they've had. It's like, that there's nothing that can be better than that. And then when we do these lectures, it's that en masse, right? We have like 1,000, 2,000 people come to the auditoriums, and very little of what we've been discussing has been political, except
that's the thing.
well, except the way we've been discussing politics, you know,
on a general level with ramifications.
Well, as a variant of philosophical orientation, say, but it's almost all centered on individual development, and so it provides a kind of energy. Like, and then I've been in a more and more fortunate position over the last 9 months, because although I still find it very stressful to have contentious interviews with journalists, like the GQ interview, for example, they have their advantages. You know, it's not like they're a net loss in terms of promoting what I'm trying to do, which is to try to help individuals fortify themselves. And then so all of the elements of this that are positive is enough to sustain this and to enable it to continue, and to also make me think that there isn't anything more relevant or meaningful or adventurous that I could possibly be doing.
So it's feeding the meaning at the same time.
Oh,
that's
definitely,
that's what I'm
absolutely.
finding through this is like every night that we're out there, there's this like renewed sense of, wow, this is real. It's not just we're putting it up and let it go to the universe. It's like we're seeing these people. And when that guy, we almost took off late from one flight, when that guy that was working at the airline came up to you right in the front row and was going on, and he could barely speak. Yeah. And it was like, holy
Well,
cow,
and you have people,
real.
you know, they say, well, my girlfriend and I decided to get married, now we're having a baby because we've listened to your lectures. Or I'm here with my father and we put our relationship, that happened.
The father and son who literally hadn't seen each other, I think they said 7 years, and they came to the show.
Yeah, and they were all smiling away. And there's just endless stories like that. And I believe two things. I believe that the individual is the fundamental locus of salvation and redemption. I truly believe that. I don't think there's anything that's more true than that. And then every time I see someone who's put themselves together, I think that's one more major victory, not minor, you know, which is also why I'm always talking to individuals in the audience. And when we do these meet and greets afterwards, which kind of have this commercial cheesiness about them, you know, but I don't care about that, because that's how it is. That's how it has to be. And it's set up so that it works. I meet 150 people, and I'm very careful with every single person that I interact with. And the reason for that is because I'm absolutely thrilled that they're there. You know, they're there because they are trying to not make things worse, minimally, right? And so, you know, one of the themes that we've been discussing in these lectures continually is that not only do you have a moral obligation to aim up and be good, and to pick the highest value that you can conceive of and pursue that honestly, but that if you don't do that, to the degree that you fail, something that's hellish takes that space. And I really believe that. Like, I believed that since 1987, when I was studying totalitarianism. I realized that it was the abdication of individual responsibility in the final analysis that led to the horrors of Nazi Germany and the totalitarian communist states. It was on us, each of us. And so I thought, well, then the thing to do about that is to do whatever you can to strengthen individuals and to make them more like appropriate moral agents. Not rights, not the individual rights, but the individual responsibility. And I truly believe that that's how you keep hell at bay. And so there's a lot, because I really believe that, there's a lot of energy in that. It's like, I'm not interested in having a replication of what happened in the 20th century. Like, enough of that, enough. And so if with each person that's on a better path, that probability decreases by 1/7 billionth, then so be it. And I think the effect is much larger than that, because I think it's a network effect.
I don't think, I mean, this is what I was saying to you right before we started. I don't think we can really understand how big it is, because now there's lectures, you're doing your show live, I'm doing stand-up, Rogan's doing his thing, Sam's doing all these things, and it's not just about us. I don't want to make it just about us, but that there is some other energy. So when I talk about the energy of destruction that's out there, I think there is a great energy of creation, and I think we're part of it. I don't know how you're going to top that answer.
No, I'm not. I'm just going to do a short form, which is it's fascinating. So I go out in public, as I say, and a lot of people want to take pictures, and I'm sure Jordan gets it as much or more than I do. And when you do that, you always hear from people, yeah, you know, I met this celebrity on the street, and they were just such a jerk, right? Like I met an actor, and the actor was like miffed that they had to get up from dinner. Yeah. I have never felt the experience where somebody wanted to take a picture, and I was not delighted that they wanted to take a picture. And I think the reason for that is not because, like, oh, look at me, I get to be in this random person's picture that he puts on his wall, but because if you actually believe that what you're doing is a reflection of values that matter, it's not that they're engaging with me, right? It's that they're engaging with the ideas that I am stating, and that's unbelievably exciting. That I've dedicated my entire life to espousing a certain set of values, and now millions of people are engaging with those values and finding those values meaningful. This is why it's hard for all of us not to sound arrogant, because we take our values so seriously. So when we say that maybe the hope for the country lies in the fact that there are so many people who actually watch stuff like this, I don't mean that because I care if people were watching me face paint, then I don't think that would have any meaning for me. But the fact that people watch my show and that they're getting some semblance of truth and values out of it, and I will say, it is weirder for me. I think it's probably weirder for me than it is for you, Jordan, because you talk so much about self-help and about individual help and all this kind of stuff. Yeah. Because I'm a politics guy and I spend most of my day breaking down current events, the fact that I get so many people who email me, and I send them to my wife, I send them to my parents, because this is the stuff I'm actually the proudest of, is when I get emails from people. And I got one today from some guy who said, yeah, I knocked up my girlfriend and I didn't know what to do about it, and then I started listening to your show and I realized that for me to be a better and more responsible human being, I needed to marry my girlfriend, and we've been married now for 3 years, and she was thinking about getting an abortion. I listened to your show, she didn't get an abortion, now we have a kid, and it's just an amazing, amazing thing. Like, that's the stuff that I care about. I think politics, what I do for a living, the politics, that's the stuff that's existing on top of the iceberg. And what I hope I'm doing is talking about this in a sense that allows people to draw a straight line down to the bottom of the iceberg and say, okay, well, the real important stuff is not what's happening in the Mueller investigation up here. It's what's happening in terms of truth and decency and waiting for available evidence down here, to take one example. And so every news story is supposed to tie down into the rootedness of a value system. And the fact that people are hungry for those values, that is what I'm really excited about.
Oh yeah, that's absolutely. Well, I mentioned earlier that the tendency of the audience is to go silent when I talk about the relationship between meaning and responsibility, and that's a sustaining thing. It's like, look, there's all these thousands of people, and what are they starving for? A heavy moral burden.
This is right.
That's so amazing.
They're
it's
paying money. Yeah. They're paying sometimes $150 a ticket.
To
hear someone say, fix yourself. Yeah, don't buy my shit. I'm not hawking anything. There's a book, but it's like, it's on you.
Yeah, it's on you.
Get going.
It's on you.
This is the reality of the backlash, because for thousands of years, it was the religious community saying, you have responsibility, you have duty, you have responsibility, you have duty. And then over the last 150 years, people went, no, we're not going to do any of that stuff. You know what? Forget it. And now people are going, that has some upside, but it also has an awful lot of downside. And none of us are theocrats in the room. I don't want a religiously oriented society where there's some king up top who's telling everybody what to do. Far from it. But people are hungry for a set of eternal values. Yeah. And if they don't get those eternal values, they will find something else to fill the hole. And it will be anger, or it will be drugs, or it will be hedonism, or it will be selfishness.
Or it'll be ideology.
And all of these things. And I am an ideologue because my ideology is my values, but it'll be political ideology, it'll be political tribalism, it'll be race-based stuff, it'll be ethnocentricity, it'll be all those things. What we're doing by promoting a set of values that matter is we are allowing people to not only keep the chaos at bay, but find a path amidst the chaos. Viktor Frankl says in Man's Search for Meaning that in the middle of the Holocaust, what kept certain people alive and why did certain people die? He said, because if you were in the middle of the Holocaust living in a death camp, it was the people who found some sense of purpose in the death camp who actually got to live. And how can you find purpose in the most purposeless place in the history of humankind? He said it didn't matter. If human beings can find meaning living in a concentration camp where people are getting gassed to death every day, then you certainly should be able to find meaning in the freest, most rich, most prosperous human society in the history of humanity.
Right.
That, Shapiro, is how you end it. I will add that I like when people come up to me too. Of course, Ben knows this. There's a girl who works at the hardware store that's only a few blocks away from here who always says to me, Dave, I'm a big fan of yours, but I really like that Ben Shapiro.